Hey everyone, my name is Mark Taylor. I'm going to talk to you today. This is part of a little series that I'm going to be doing, but the elements of a story and why they're the most important aspect of a story. So today I'm going to be talking about characters, why characters are the most important aspect of a story. I just finished listening to Jim Butcher's Deadbeats, which is a series about a wizard who is set in modern day urban Chicago. And this series, it's weird because I find myself while listening, because I've listened to all these books, while listening to these stories, I find myself at certain parts in the books thinking, do I want to keep going? Like I'm kind of getting bogged down in them. But this is, I think, the sixth or seventh book in the series, so I've obviously kept going. And the main reason I've kept going is because I really, really like the characters. I love the character of Harry Dresden, who is this world weary wizard who has a lot of power but is so confined within what he's allowed to do, what he wants to do. He's this conflicted person who is no nonsense when it comes to uh, protecting the innocent, protecting children and women, and yet he also has a lot of anger as far as just the evil that's out there. He wants to do anything he can to rid the world of evil. And that character of Harry Dresden takes me through a bunch of gets me through a bunch of plots that I really don't remember. That to me, they're not terrible plots, but they're forgettable. They're not great. Um, and again, nothing against Jim Butcher and his writing, but the plots to me don't really do much. And I could take him or leave him. I really enjoy the character of Harry Dresden and what he brings to the table. Same goes for there's a book series called Gray Man series. The first book is Gray Man's by a local author here in Memphis named Mark Graney, who is a bestseller. He's written for Tom Clancy, and his series Gray Man is just killing it. But the first book I read of his, or the first Gray Man book I read, and I think I got it somewhere in here. I just I was not that big a fan of the guy was just this indestructible juggernaut of this guy, of the main character, this burned assassin, and it just I didn't connect with him. And so when he was taking all these, it was this super gritty, very hyper realistic, but he was taking all these wounds and just kept on trucking. I just didn't care that much, but I wanted to give it a second chance. I wanted to find out what happened. I didn't really want to find out, but I wanted to give the series a second chance. So I read the second book, and the second book blew me away. And I connected with the character. There was more, there's still mystery to the character. The character is enigmatic and doesn't speak a lot about himself. He's not a Sherry kind of person. Sharing, I don't Sherry, but I found out more about who he was, what made him tick, and so I cared about the stakes that he was now placed in. And so the character was what really drew me into the series and drew me back into it, and then made me connect, and I wanted to find out what happened next. And now I care about his story and all of these explosive, I mean, the action pieces are amazing, but that's what drew me in. And so it's the same thing that I think sets a lot of stories apart. There's a lot of crappy action movies out there. Die Hard is awesome, one, because it's very smart, but because John McClane is someone that you can relate to. He's overwhelmed, he's frustrated, he's trying to save his marriage, and so John McClane is this detective that you just care about, and you feel drawn into his story and his struggle, and so that's what I think sets it apart. And you could go into the Matrix. A lot of people love the first Matrix and they hate the trilogy. They hate the next two movies. I love the trilogy. I'm one of the few people who probably does. And one of the main reasons I do is because I love the villain of Agent Smith. I love Hugo Weaving's portrayal of him, and he becomes a main aspect. He's a main character, where the story centralizes and revolves around him in the next two movies. And so, in that sense, then I love the next two movies. And there's a lot of craziness in them, and that's fine. But I love the trilogy because of the characters and who is in it. And finally, before this gets way too long, I could go on and on. one my favorite TV shows is Supernatural. And Supernatural is about two brothers that fight things that go bump in the night. And it started out kind of as an X-Files, but just you had a monster of the week, and I love those. But then it turns into Angels versus Demons, and that was interesting. But it's 15 seasons long. It's in its final season, 15th season, and it jumped the shark a long time ago. I think I went from, first season, it's like, oh, vampires and banshees are real. And by the 14th season, it's alternate world Archangel Michael is more dangerous than our world Lucifer. Like, it got nuts. It got crazy. The reason I love the show and keep watching is because of the characters, the brothers, the main characters, Dean and Sam. I love their interactions. I love Castiel, the angel. I love Crowley, the demon. I love the characters, and the character, Bobby Singer, the characters make it interesting. And the characters are who I care about and keep coming back for. Otherwise, I would have left the show a long time ago because the plot has gotten insane and makes no sense. But the characters are what makes the story works and what makes me care about the story. So that is my defense of why characters are the most important part of story. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you later.